Hey YouTube, come on into my world, Steffi's world. It is in the wee hours of Sunday morning. I am an insomniac and I cannot go to sleep. So I'm like, might as well go ahead and get this video out. I'm going to be doing a recap of the finale of P-Valley. Episode 210 tonight was simply titled Mississippi Rule. It was the finale of season 2, and of course, it didn't disappoint. It left me with questions. It left us with a huge cliffhanger, but it did not disappoint with everything that went down tonight. So let me go ahead and get into it. It picks up where Andre and his wife is arguing, and they're having a pretty intense argument. Surprisingly, Haley is standing there. So like they're arguing face to face, going back and forth, and Andre's wife is pretty much like, so you had to find some light bright to F. And Haley chimed in, who you calling a light bright? And it goes from there. And then finally she goes ahead and makes her exit, what she should have done to me in the beginning. And Brittany says, so that's Haley. Remember, Haley called the phone and she saw Haley come up when Andre was back in Atlanta, and she asked him like, where did we go wrong? And he was like, when we got married, when we met. He also never told his wife about his father. Now that's a huge lie. He said that he killed him, but I don't know if he meant that metaphorically or was that the lie that he told. But he never told her what the deal was about his father. So they've been constantly lying to each other. And he tells her that now she can go on and marry Dante, and she was like, and are you trying to divorce me? And he was like, I'm in love with another woman. He's saying that he's in love with Haley. So they're at it and they're getting ready to call the race. This is apparently going on all night. The sun's coming up and Haley was like, they gathering out in front. And Lil Murder catches a glimpse of himself in the mirror. He's going back out to perform. I thought that was the end of the night with all the drama that went back. But as he's going back out there, and he goes out, no shirt, no ice, took that grill out, and DJ Never Scared started the music, and he told him, he said, cut the music, and he went a cappella. But what he is saying pretty much details the murder, and Maine has his eye on him, and it's intense, and Murder peeps him, and he's pretty much like he's talking directly to him, and he said, some N I see in the club put in a hearse. 7 pounds of pressure was what him and Mercedes, he performed in Mercedes dance too, and she hit those moves and that pole like a beast. She did all the tricks, and the kicker was when she came off the pole, I thought she fell. She did a flip and she went right into the split, and it was a red light behind them. That's going to become symbolic later. And then Maine just kind of backed into the crowd and left. Patrice Woodbine won. She is the new mayor of Chucalissa. And Andre went ahead and conceded and stood up there with his wife. And he's saying that he's staying in Chucalissa. He's going to open up his law practice. Mercedes comes out with her bags of money, and Uncle Clifford is sitting at Keyshawn's old station, and she's crying, but she's crying tears of joy. Grandma didn't drink the water. Grandma Ernestine made it. That goes against one of my predictions because I had said that Grandma ain't gonna make it. Grandma Ernestine is alive and well. You hear a narration as Keyshawn is walking and uncovering the car that I'm thinking Haley got for her. It has money in there. It has all her stuff, and it's saying that fairy tales or sometimes horror stories with happy ending. And, you hear Haley narrating pretty much like what to do, how to move. You don't have no friends. You don't tell nobody you're going. You don't use your real name. Everything is ready to go. So Keyshawn uncovers the car, and we hoping that she's out of there. Uncle Clifford and Lil Murder wake up to each other, and they're talking, and Lil Murder is going on tour, and he's going to leave that particular day. And Uncle Clifford was like, when are you going to be back? And he was like, he didn't know. And then it goes with Uncle Clifford telling him he's not built for this cage. And Lil Murda was like, well, what do you think how it would be if people really knew? And Uncle Clifford didn't really say anything. He said that, this was the beginning to the end of something, and that they're just confined to those four walls. And basically, he was like, all I need is my grandmother. So that made Lil Murda's decision to go ahead and get his stuff and get out of there. Patrice went into the mayor's office and started ripping off the interim mayor stuff off the walls, set up, put her feet up on the table, and leaned back too far in that chair and kept right on going. And she got up and brushed herself off. And I think the casino referendum passed too. And she wants her title to be Mayor Bishop. Mercedes gets a FedEx package, and it is a huge blow up enlargement of one of her pictures, and also a check. I believe I saw $30K. Farrah sent her the royalties from the Mercedes experience. Now that one did hit right on the money with my prediction that it was going to be pretty lucrative for the both of them. And she sent her the royalties for using her likeness. And they had a pretty decent conversation. Women are lining up bringing Andre food. Haley is in the line and she gives them cigars and they talk. But he was like, so what did you have to tell me? And I said my prediction was she's not going to tell him. And she did. She said the words we don't say, well, home that's forever. But she said that they never needed words. Right when she left him, she went ahead and called Georgie and was like, B.I., where's my offer? And Miss Georgie told her, I thought you would be calling. And Haley played her, so she upped the price. She went from 10K. She said she wanted 15K. And Miss Georgie was like, no. And she was like, I don't need the pink. And she was like, you have to be able to build casinos on the water. And she was like, not if the water could come to you. And Haley was hot. And Miss Georgie closed out. And you have a blessed day, bitch. Yeah, she did that. Corbin and his brother are sitting on the front porch. And Corbin walks out and just screams. You'll find out later why he was screaming. Grandmother Ernestine is home and she coming home with some mess. Shortly after Uncle Clifford gets her in, Big L, Duffy, and she called him Uganda, show up, and she was like, Big L, I fired you. And he was like, well, your grandma hired me. She is having the biggest players ball welcome home party that she called and invited up the folks, hired up the crew. She wants some stuff, and she just on the move. And Uncle Clifford heard his mama, and she had some words for her about how she treated Lil Murda, and a virus killed his mama. I'm thinking that it was HIV because he said the virus and something about her lungs and that love killed her. And she was like, no, love didn't kill me. Keyshawn went and met Lil Murda at his tour bus and they hugged, and he told her her secret is safe with him. Mercedes is at her studio putting up pics, and she climbs on the pole and she's still killing it. Patrice pays her a visit and they have a pretty civil conversation, and Mercedes is pretty much like new dreams. And she called her Mayor Bishop and she said, you may have to give up one of those. And Patrice said, won't give a bitch more than she can handle. And she said that she'll call and she needed prayer, and she probably was asking for forgiveness. She said she's going to rehab and she wants her to take Terica, but Patrice had Erica out in the car, and she had her to bring her things in, and she's letting Mercedes take her. And Uncle Cliff is listening to some old music, looking in the photo album, and all of a sudden the first page of the newspaper hits him, and Haley comes, and they're all mad. Something called Corbin's Canal. So they're talking about what Corbin is getting ready to do. So yeah, it's Corbin's Canal. and Haley is pissed. Uncle Clifford takes the check that Corbin gave to her and signs it over to Haley, $250K, and was like, I'm buying my club back. And she was like, no, I should get interest in this, that, and other. Uncle Clifford goes off on her. He calls her a snake. He talks about her being a lost girl with no family. And Big L and Diamond had to come in there and have a little conversation, and they was in the black gloves and the suits with some tools to cut her up, and was like compound interest. So she got kicked up out of there. And she essentially played herself. She played herself. And Uncle Clifford's Rule 88, just because a bitch good at keeping the peace don't mean she's afraid to wage war. And Keyshawn went to go pick the kids up. The stepmama greets her at the door and was like, Derek has the babies. And all she could do was talk about how pretty Regal's hair is and how Regal gonna have long, pretty hair. Nobody ain't tell her to give Derek them babies. And Keyshawn has a look of horror on her face. Andre is calling Haley, but the number ain't even in service. He goes to see his dad. When Keyshawn gets home, Derek's lovingly playing in the floor with the kids. Child Protective Services is there. And they've had a complaint, and they talked about the abuse of Jaden, and she's gonna have to do they're gonna do weekly check-ins, and Keyshawn is gonna have to be there for 6 months and to retain joint custody. And Derek just has this smug look, and Keyshawn zones out and she loses it. She screams from the depths. She attacked Derek, and she fought the cop, and she ultimately had to be thrown to the ground with a knee in her back. Terica is introduced to Maine. I didn't really like that look. It was just something about it. It was just something about it. Mercedes ushered her off real quick, but it was just something that bothered me about that. It didn't sit right with me. And Maine ain't feeling Mercedes at all, and all he keeps talking about is that she did a dance with death and the red on that stage, and he said, well, eventually you're gonna have to pick a side. And she was like, it's just performance. And he also went ahead and outed murder to her, and he used a very derogatory term that I'm not going to use on here. Miss Ernestine party was lit. She's sitting in the queen chair talking to Miss Uganda, one of the African guys that came to kind of do the repairs. And all of a sudden, mint condition, Pretty Brown Eyes comes on. Lil Murder's posted up on by the jukebox, and he turned it on, and he dances with Miss Ernestine. He talks a little bit to Uncle Clifford, and Mercedes bought Terica. Keyshawn called Diamond from jail, and Big Bone is with him, but it came up unknown, and she asked Diamond, can he take care of it? She's talking in code. She's telling him a story, but she's talking in code. And that Mercedes last dance, she told Uncle Clifford that sometimes people come in your life for a season, and Uncle Clifford really liked what happened the other night, and Mercedes was like, that was it, that was my last dance, that's how I'm going out in this time. And she said, I'm not leaving, I'm just graduating. That's a good spot for me to that's a good point for me to stop. I'm going to come back with the part 2 because my time is winding down, and that was pretty much majority of the episode. I still have some more things to put you up on, but like I said, the season didn't disappoint. I just have some questions and some things that I didn't touch on. I heard from another source on some other YouTubers, I can't remember their name, I just watched their review, that it is renewed for a third season, for a third season. So if you like what you heard here, like, share, subscribe. I will be back with the part 2 probably later today. I'm going to try to shut it down and try to get me a cat nap. I don't sleep, I cat nap. And I'll be back on sometime today with the part 2 of this. And then I have some other things that I want to talk about regarding the Pank and P Valley. It's been a wild one, and I love being able to hang out with them on Saturday night. So if you want to connect with me, you can find me at Cosby, COSBEE. I am all over social media, and I always close my broadcast with love one another. Till the next time, peace.